This is my first ever out of country press on set. Here's the inspo that we're doing. Literally everything that you can imagine. And they're going to be the cutest nails ever. The first thing that I do for every press on set is scrub the tip with acetone. I do this instead of buffing the tips. I do 1 to 3 coats of each base color and I cure it immediately after I paint it on the nail because I don't want it to pool up on the edges and make it uncurable or too thick. I'll be linking as many polish details and product details that I can in the description of the video. I have a lot of good codes and just links for you to follow. If I leave anything out or you just have any questions at all, just drop a comment and I'll get back to you. Let's move on to the first nails art. I'm using this Presto padding gel palette. I wanted to use this to add some texture, so I'm just pushing and patting it into the nail, and I would get a little bit of acetone and then mix it onto the nail as well so that it just created a little bit of dimension in there. I'm going to be replicating this little dragon picture. I guess it's from a childhood storybook that she knew. I'm going to use my 4mm brush. The 5-pack of these brushes is linked in my Amazon storefront. I literally use them for everything. And to start, I'm trying to get the green outline shape, okay? I was drawing its ear and I wanted it to be a little thinner than it ended up being painted, so I just took a little acetone, dried off my brush, and wiped that off. When I'm recreating pictures like this, I really have to go off of the shape, like the general shape. Don't overthink it, just paint the blobs. I take it in sections, so the head, the ears, the body, the tail. In between the legs, I'll leave some negative space for its belly. And the important thing to note is it does not have to be perfect. As I paint, I build up my palette with all the different colors I'm using, and I like to mix them up too. If I mix my colors together for all the different layers of shading, it looks really cohesive and like they all belong in the same palette. After like each of these colors, or even sometimes smaller details, I will flash cure the nail so the polish does not go anywhere. Flash curing mid art is a game changer because if you make a mistake, you can just wipe it off and repaint it without having to do the whole entire nail again. But before I move on to details like layering with the hair or these, I do cure the nail for the full 60 seconds. For the even finer details, I use my 8mm brush, and my secret is I cut like half the bristles out of it. With different variations of this pink color, I add details in the hair, the spine things down its back, and details on the flowers and nose. Prepare to hold your breath because whew, these are going to be some tiny details coming up. I'll add a little more texture and color and shading to the body and the wing. And I almost forgot, but I had to add this adorable little bow on its tail. This is my go-to gel for black fine lines. I'm still using my 8mm brush, and very slowly and with very light pressure on my brush, I outline the places that I want the black line to look. You can see it coming together. It looks so much more cartoonish and like the picture now. The key to these designs is you don't want too much product in your brush or else it'll pool up and cause it to not be thin. And then I'm just adding little tiny twinkles around it because it's so whimsical and fun. I want my press-ons to be super durable, so I do a light layer of luminary on top. Since they're short, they don't really need a lot of structure, but I flip it over to self-level. So smooth, and I'll finish off with a top coat. It really is so darling. The next two nails are essentially junk nails. I'm using the Après Extend Gel as my glue, coating the entire nail in this. My customer requested that it be mostly flat because she doesn't like things like popping out of the nail. I was hunting for all of my sequins and anything that wouldn't add texture, and in the end of it all, I covered it with luminary a little bit thicker than the other nails so that it really encapsulated all the designs. Then I filed it so it was completely smooth, buffed it, and added the top coat again. Even though I didn't have very many options for different nail art things, I found these pearly iridescent looking things and also a lot of variety of sequins, and I cut up some square sequins to add even more variety. I love the look of junk nails. They're so fun. It's just like confetti. My 20mm brush is coming out and I'm going to make a moon nail. Starting with the textured background, I'm patting in some darker pink. I love the long brushes because they're really stable. So for large circular designs, it'll be nice and smooth. Over the yellow layer, I added some blush marks and some highlights. For the fine lines, I doled down the black so it wasn't pure black. I'm always intimidated by a cutie moon face because I feel like the features are so hard to get down, but I just went very slowly and very carefully adding all the eyes, the eyebrows, the cheeks, the lips, and mixing various levels of that red color so it's a beautiful blend for the blush. I felt like I couldn't leave it there though, so I added some pretty flowers in the back. I am obsessed with how these colors go together with that light yellow. It reminds me that spring nails are like my favorite nail season Oh my gosh, I want to do some more so bad. Queen! Okay, next. Our next nail is a beautiful whimsical garden. Pardon me. I used to really struggle with painting petals, but an important thing for me is just trying to keep them from dripping into each other. And again, like I'm gonna add more details so it doesn't have to look perfect right now. So basically I call this the blob layer, where I just put all the colors and the main idea out there. After the blob layer, I just do a lot of different variations of the colors in different shades so that it looks more visually enticing. And then with really light pressure and my skinniest brush, I'm outlining the petals, the shapes, the leaves. This part feels really time consuming, but bear with me. It just ends up looking so cute and doodly. I'm just gradually drifting out of frame, but I'll bring it back. I really loved these little buttons that were screenshotted from like TikTok or something. I painted a gingham background because I thought that would really complement it. I mixed my light pink with some white and then painted the base grid, and honestly it was a little too light, so I went back and added a little darker pink on top of it. And then I took an even darker pink and added little squares inside each box, each cross of the grid, you know what I mean. I wanted to sculpt these buttons so they could like stand off of the nail a little bit, but I made them really flat because again, she didn't want any 3D elements really. I painted it with that gorgy butter yellow and put little loop-de-loops in this. I literally was not breathing at all, okay? And then with the structured gel layer, it basically covered up any 3D part of it, but it still made it so it was like kind of standing out. I'm doing another ditzy floral design. I feel like all the designs with flowers look a little bit basic until you add that next layer of color and those details. Specifically in this one, I liked these details on the petals and how the stems and the leaves looked kind of different. And I couldn't leave it there because this set embodies whimsical art, so I added some glue and put in a couple gold sequins. And then I did the structured layer. On top of the structured layer, I added some white sparkles. I did that so that it would stand off of the nail a little. I'm gonna do a couple layers on this base to make it look like a ceramic, like that, whatever that is, like a jar. Urn maybe. I was individually adding a bunch of dots in that darker color and then also sponging on some of the lighter color again. By the way, pink and green is one of my favorite color combinations ever. Has been for years and years and years. For the blob layer for this elephant, I'm just using this main green color, and also for the lampion, I think it's called. I just fact checked myself, and yes, it is a lampion, a small lantern. Using my skinny brush, I'm getting details in there. My eyesight is not good enough to get those tiny flowers perfect every time, but you know what? It looks great. Do you remember in 2013 when elephants were like the it girl animal? What a time to be alive. I was gonna say it's funny that we don't have any animals trending anymore, but literally I think fish are like trending. Anyways, interesting times. I'm adding some final details to the elephant. I feel like I kind of nailed that ceramic look for the background, to be honest. You know I had to add a twinkle in there. And after luminary and top coat, we're on to the next. These lines are so crispy, I believe I used my 25mm brush for these. It's the best for dragging a straight line. And then this is essentially the blob layer for the leaf design. Look, I keep cutting myself off and I'm driving myself crazy right now. I should have cured the tan before, but I went back and cleaned it up and then added more brown details and then dark green details to the leaves. I pretty much just add them wherever I want to distinguish that there's a leaf there, and if I need a shadow necessary to show that, gotta add it in there. Then I'm gonna take a tiny little bead of sculpting gel and I'm going to use it to make another cute button. I wanted the base color of the button to be just slightly more pigmented white, so I used my sponge and sponged on some white and cleaned up around the edges if it got on the actual design. The inspo for this specific button was stripy bows, so I used my tiny thin brush with really light pressure and added little tiny bows. I think it's the most adorable detail, but it's like almost too subtle. You won't even see it if you don't look close enough. Also, stripes on stripes is a slay. And again, because she didn't want it 3D, I basically just encapsulated that and top coat. For most times that I do aura nails, I use pigment powders or an airbrush, but this time I just really wanted this rosy color and I don't have that in either of the options. Plus, I just wanted it to be a really subtle aura, so it works for what it was. I started doing the blob layer with this really light purple and that delicious pink, but I did end up adding a little bit of a deeper purple so that it would stand out more. I began to just mix many different variations, lighter and darker, of each of the colors so that I could create a little dimension and shape in the candle holders. And I'm so glad that I did, because I feel like that plus the aura added so much to the design and it's so yummy looking. On the purple candle holder, I added some mini yellow stars, and when I do tiny stars, I just do a dot and then drag out little points. It's so much easier than trying to like make an actual shape. I don't know what these nails remind me of except like childhood fairy book story tale. Wait, what am I saying? Childhood fairy tale storybook. Okay. I did some gray outlining on these ones instead of pure black because I feel like with the dulled colors, it looks really nice. I feel like I say I feel like a lot, and it's just true. I go off of vibes a lot. My bad. But anyways, that was the last nail in the set. Set them all up to take some photos of them. All pictures, including detail shots, are up on my Insta right now, and pretty soon I'll be putting them on my website for the spring collection. Make sure to like this video if you want more in-depth content. Thanks for watching.